Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to our final day of the training program. And today's session, the first technical session, is on instructional design for TPCI. And for this session, we have with us again Dr. Ajita Deshmukh. Dr. Ajita took a session for us on the third day of the training program, and she was able to communicate to all of you very patiently and very clearly. Hence, on popular demand, we bring her again, and I hand over the session of today to Ajita ma'am now. Thank you, ma'am, and welcome, Ajita ma'am. We welcome you on behalf of the CIT team. I request you to please take over the session.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Audibility is fine. Now, one thumbs up button, please. Yes, great. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We are going to do instructional design. Now, before even we start with this, and while I start the screen, anyone who has heard about this word and has any idea about it, this is just so that by the time that screen gets shared, we should be in a position to talk also. Okay. So you're already seeing my screen. Okay. So, yes. Any idea about what is instructional design? Okay. So I want this the way we have been doing, that we will be discussing, and you all are experienced teachers. So I don't think that I should be teaching you something. We'll be discussing something and you learn from me, I learn from you. Okay. And we are going to have hands-on as well. So instructional design is a little bit different as compared to teaching. That is, in teaching, what do we do in teaching? We are deterministic that this needs to happen, this should take place. Whereas in instructional design, we actually design how it works. So now just to make this very clear, um, how many of you think that you have completed the portion, but maybe the students have not learned or they are not able to perform well in the exam? So I would want to know your experiences on this. Have you ever undergone such type of experiences, or any such thing where you have taught with your whole heart, but you feel that no, it's not yet achieved? Okay, there are lots of messages in the chat. Yes, it happens many times. Would anyone want to share an experience like that? Then you can just raise your hand so that we can unmute you. It could also be as an experience like when you were a student, when you felt that, yeah, the teacher came, teacher, professor, they came, they took maybe even a 2 hour class, but at the end of it, you were all dazed that I don't know what happened. Yes, Ramesh ji, can we unmute him?
Oh, good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning.
Actually, these things happen when sometimes we lack in determining or the performance of the children. It means evaluation, because it does not take place time to time. Sometimes we are in hurry to complete the syllabus and lots of work, especially in government sector. Number of teachers compared to the children, they are obviously very less many a time. As in our school, ma'am, we are having almost 800 students, and
Yes.
there are only 16 teachers. Now you can imagine that how much burden teachers are suffering from. So in that hurriness or other things, this happen, ma'am.
You have used a very important word, which is very much needed to understand the difference between instructional design and teaching. So I'll tell you what word you have used it later, but first we have Sakshi who's raised her hand. So if we can unmute Sakshi.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it happened on this 1st of December 2023. It was AIDS Day, and I was telling my students about AIDS awareness. And it was a medical class to whom I have already taught that what actually the AIDS is. And just the video was available on Teach India AIDS, and I was so sure that because I've already taught about these STDs to my students, so they must be aware of the technique. But when I was showing them the video, they all were blank. It was the part of their syllabus, but still, when I was showing them the video, they all were blank. So, what I convinced myself about this thing is, see, I feel that I'm a very good teacher. So, to convince myself, what I thought is that in that particular time in May, when I taught this AIDS to them, it was all theoretical. I teach them the theoretical concepts that this is AIDS, this is HIV. But actually, when I was showing them the video on 1st of December on that, so then I realized later on that showing them the video was the good aspect to make them aware, because in that particular way they were correlating with themselves. There were some pictures, some images, some audio, some video was there, so they were able to correlate with that. So there was the lack when I was telling them in my theoretical class, and when I bring them into my virtual class, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing such a honest and candid experience. Thank you very much for that, because that brings in another thing that we are going to talk about, that how instructional design and teaching differs. So two very important points we have already got. Anyone, we can take one more person. If one more person wants to share something, maybe as a student, when you were a student, how did you feel? If not a teacher, if someone wants to go back to their student days. We already have two experiences, and thank you, Ramesh ji and Sakshi ji, for that. But anyone else? Otherwise, we'll go ahead. No problem. Because not everyone would be that honest, or not everyone would like to share that. Oh, I taught so much, but the students did not uh, achieve the learning outcome, and it was right in front of my eyes, and I could see that it's not being achieved. So it's quite difficult to admit to such things. So it's understandable. But Sakshi ji and Ramesh ji, thank you very much for those inputs. Okay, so I don't think any other hand is up, right? So we'll go ahead. So the most important thing, there's something in the chat though. Just a minute, and let me just see. Okay, just someone's name. All right. So the first thing that Rameshji said was something, he said that it was determined. So teaching is always deterministic, whereas instructional design is always probabilistic. So I'm going to take you to the next slide, that what is exactly instructional design theory? Instructional design theory is actually based that we create environment in such a way that we put, or we position people, we position our students in such a way that it helps them to learn and, of course, develop themselves. And where these positions can be, these positions need not be in the classroom. Like, you remember Sakshi ji was talking about a video that she had shared, and they could relate to it much more. You don't have to necessarily do it in the class. You can actually give the video to the students as a pre-session activity as well, and then utilize your class time for something else. That's what we do in blended learning, or it's also called as flipped learning. But the whole thing is, we have to come out of this mindset that, okay, all instruction needs to be given in my presence as a teacher, and it has to be done in the classroom. Instructional design helps people to learn. Okay, so it may be in my presence as a teacher, it may be in my absence as a teacher, but even in my absence, I will be present. Now, how will I be present if I'm already absent, right? You might think that कि अगर मैं हूं ही नहीं तो मैं कैसे present हूं? मैं उस तरीके से present हूं where I have put the ways in which the opportunities are. Like, in short, if I were just to take Sakshi ji's example, the video that she would have given, तो वो वीडियो उनका नहीं है. She has not made the video. It was some other resource. But through her intervention, she is going to give some questions to watch. And all that will help the students to learn and develop their understanding, their conceptual knowledge. Vijender ji, I see your raised hand. Just give me 2 minutes. Let me just finish this, and then we will take up what you have. Just a bit, so that it just gets done here. So the next thing that we need to remember about instructional design is that this is design oriented. Vijender ji, you can keep your hand raised again, because otherwise we'll forget whom to unmute. So it is design oriented, but not description oriented. So again, taking the example that Sakshi ji has given, that the first one was theoretical based. So maybe it was description oriented. Most of our teaching is description oriented, where we go and we actually teach, assuming unfortunately that the students don't know. Okay, that is a very unfortunate approach, because like in my previous session, which was based on constructivist approach, the collaborative tools, वहां पर भी मैंने यही बोला था कि हम बहुत बड़ी गलती करेंगे if we think that we like students को कुछ नहीं पता है, students do not understand anything, and only if we say they will know it. No, it's not like that. Even 1 day old child has got some experience. So design means, how is it going to work? Are they going to relate? Are they going to be able to apply? Are they going to be able to do an expression of what they already know? Then you just see the words, that these words are for specific situations. के लिए हम क्या methods use करेंगे? यानी maybe today a video works. Maybe अगर हम उनको रोज bombard करेंगे वीडियो से, तो शायद उनको वीडियो से फिर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Maybe then we will have to find out some other way. Which situation is there? Are we taking them on a field trip? Then I cannot give them a video. If they are supposed to be in a hostel, does the hostel have that situation where they can watch the videos? So there are so many things. So it is about specific situations. And the most important thing, you should be able to break down it into minute components. छोटा 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 चीज कि ये करने से क्या होगा, ये करेंगे तो वो कैसे करेंगे. So all small minute components. एंड व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक, हम डिटर्मिनिस्टिक नहीं है. मतलब हम ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते कि ये ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, क्योंकि जब हम ये कहते हैं कि ये ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, तो वो कभी भी वैसा, देयर इज नथिंग कॉल्ड एज डिटर्मिनिज्म. बिकॉज आपकी क्लास में जैसे रमेश जी बता रहे थे कि वी हैव 800 स्टूडेंट्स, हाउ कैन ऑल 800 स्टूडेंट्स गिव यू द सेम आउटपुट? Because everyone comes with a different experience, different background. I think someone's this is on, like they are accessing through the mobile, I guess. So okay, so then that's not going to happen. So what is probabilistic? We enhance or we try to increase the probability, sambhavana, in which the learning outcome can be attained. तो हम इतनी सारी सिचुएशंस और इतनी सारी चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हैं कि सपोज करो जैसे अभी समवन इज अटेंडिंग फ्रॉम अ मोबाइल, ओके, देन is this particular session, can this be attended by the mobile? Is there any activity that they can't do by the mobile? Then I'll have to design 2 activities, right? So all these things, like remember the last time when we did collaborative learning, I had said कि it will be better if you have a desktop or a laptop, because आपको मैं देने वाली हूँ tools. तो वो टूल्स के हिसाब से आपको अलग अलग टैब्स खोलने पड़ेंगे, आप मोबाइल से उतना अच्छे तरीके से नहीं कर पाएंगे. सो आई हैव टू कंसिडर दैट आइदर आई हैव टू इन्फॉर्म यू बिफोर हैंड, or I'll have to choose 2 to 3 different tools which you should be able to use on different devices. So this just enhances the probability. Vijendra ji, your hand was raised, so now up to you. Okay. So that was nothing with this. All right. So let's go ahead. And how do we do this, actually speaking? So you can see that there are 5 steps. And most of us here have done our B.Ed or training in education. So we know that how things go, especially stepwise, every planning has to come. So now here, the first thing what you see is analyze. Now, analyze what? So like if I take Sakshi ji's example, then she said later that शायद मुझे ये शायद उनको वीडियो से ज्यादा समझ में आ रहा था, वो ज्यादा रिलेट कर पा रहे थे. Also, when Ramesh ji was talking about the students, the 800 students that are there in the school with 16 teachers there, how many students have got the support to help them learn at home? Because if teachers are going to just finish off their portion, see, let's understand this. I can teach you, but you may still not learn anything. Okay, that is the reason why I started my class like that. Because we all have been in positions, as students at least, where the professor comes and takes class for 2 hours, और फिर भी कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आता. And we will understand only when we sit with our friends or when we sit to study during the exam time, right? So first we need to analyze ki what is the prerequisite that is needed with our students. Also, what is their level and the other situations that are there in their respective homes, uh, or their respective hostels if they're staying at hostels and studying. So what is it that is there? So that type of analysis is the first thing that we need to know. So while doing this, this is also called as need analysis. And we consider that how are people going to learn? Because if we are going to say that this is mostly about like using different tools, like someone was saying that only 40 people can attempt the question. So there will be lots of constraints. So can I use this tool now? So suppose if a tool is there, which like I showed you a Padlet, right? And I also showed you that it has got only 5 free Padlets if you're using a free account. Then what do? You are taking 10 classes, and suppose every week to chhod do. Every month, if you are going to use one Padlet, and you are teaching so many classes, तो 5 Padlet से कैसे होगा? Then how do I do it? Right? So what are the constraints that I have? उसका भी analysis करना जरूरी है. So suppose if I'm giving a particular resource to people and the accent that is there in that video, that accent is not very relatable to the Indian students, then it's again my constraint. तो मुझे कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा उसके साथ में. या तो I will have to be and I'll have to show the resource in the class and maybe stop at certain times so that I can explain it in a local language or in the English that we understand. So analysis. Now, before we go to the next step, how many of us actually do the analysis? Again, I will take 3 answers. 4 things in chat. Okay. How many of us do the analysis like this, that what is the level of my student? What is the background level of my student? What are my own constraints if I have to teach a particular topic? And even if you don't do it, do you think it is possible? Because only then the conversation goes ahead. Otherwise, it is a gyan giving session where you take the gyan, you leave the you leave the workshop, and afterwards you're back to the square one. Okay, I see something in the chat. Okay, Swati ma'am, yes. Would you want to talk a little bit more about how you conduct analysis? If yes, then we'll unmute you. There's one more. This is necessary to achieve our goal. You want to talk? Is it possible for you to speak? Then we'll unmute you. Yeah. Topic-wise pre-testing by questioning. Okay. Can you raise your hand, Swati ji, so that we can quickly unmute you? It becomes difficult to search. No? Unmute, please. Swati Jain.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
मैम एक्चुअली एनालिसिस इज मतलब हम ये कहेंगे कि बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि अगर हम यही चीज़ एनालाइज नहीं कर पाएंगे कि व्हाट वी हैव टू टॉट एंड हमें ये पढ़ाना किसको है. द मैटर इज दिस कि मेरे बच्चा बैकग्राउंड क्या है, वो किस बाइलिंगुअली वो उस चीज़ को ज़्यादा इजीली ले सकता है या फिर सिंगल वे टर्निंग होती है. तो मीन्स हमें हर लेवल पे उस चीज का एनालाइज तो करना ही पड़ता है, अपने टॉपिक वाइज भी एंड अपने स्टूडेंट वाइज भी, उसके बैकग्राउंड को भी देखना होता है. मतलब हर चीज उसको तो एक मतलब मैंडेटरी है कि जो चीज हमें करके ही अपने क्लासरूम में एंटर करना होता है. ये मेरे थॉट है.
बिल्कुल मैंडेटरी ही है, लेकिन क्या हम उसको डॉक्यूमेंट करते हैं? Okay, there are so many messages.
डॉक्यूमेंट भी करते हैं. देयर इज अ टीचर्स डायरी इन विच आई विल राइट एवरीथिंग.
That is very good if you are maintaining a teacher's diary and so meticulously.
Actually,
I
ma'am,
can-
in Uttarakhand, this is mandatory to you. You should maintain your teacher's diary.
Yes,
It will be help in हाँ मतलब I can't define कि वो कितनी जगह हमारे काम आती है.
बिल्कुल. वो सभी स्टेट्स में कंपलसरी ही है. Just the thing is, because I've been to different states, I will say that if you are doing it sincerely and honestly, तो ही उसका फायदा होता है. Otherwise,
Yes, ma'am.
कुछ भी उसमें लिख दें
नहीं
तो
नहीं मैम, ऑथेंटिसिटी तो हमारे बीइंग ए टीचर के हम कहते हैं ना रोल मॉडल हैं, तो फिर ऑथेंटिसिटी तो अगर हम ही नहीं करेंगे तो हम हाउ कुड वी एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम माय स्टूडेंट्स.
thank you for that. I wish more and more teachers are more I mean authentic और authenticity में believe रखने वाले.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम.
साक्षी जी का hand raised है.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, go
Ma'am,
ahead.
the live example of why analysis and how to do it is doing by yourself, ma'am. You are asking us again and again that how you will go it, how you will go it. That means you are analyzing our needs. And in that way only, you will channelize the next content, I suppose.
Yes,
The right way you are doing the analysis, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. And even before this also, I would always ask my colleague here, Dr. Puneet, that, okay, what is expected? What is the background of the people? What tools have they done? And each and everything. So yes, so we have to consider the needs of our students, and we also have to consider the constraints that we have. So one of the constraints is like time, that इतने time में इतना करना है और इतना करवा के भी लेना है, so again, that also is going to help. So then the next step is the design. Now design जब हम करते हैं कोई भी चीज को, तो डिजाइन होना चाहिए हमेशा आउटकम बेस्ड, और वो हमेशा होनी चाहिए एक एक्टिविटी. ना कि देखो, मैं I can just keep on doing things. I can just go on blabbering, and I can say that, yeah, the outcome is reached after I take one assessment. We had talked about assessment, right? I think in the beginning, there were so many messages that said that we need to have an assessment to understand the need, to understand teaching happens properly and whether it is effective or not. So just इस scenario को थोड़ा सा समझिए. I go on teaching, okay? It is completely like one way, traffic चल रहा है. And at the end, I mean, एकदम properly planned session है मेरे resources सब ठीक हैं, और मैं बोलते जा रही हूँ, आप लोग सुनते जा रहे हैं, और उसके बाद में I just take one quiz and you attempt that quiz based on the memory of whatever you've heard. And I will say that, see, outcome is reached. Well, that's a big question because that was not active. Okay, that was only memory based. And if you all remember the Bloom's taxonomy that you've been learning in the B.Ed, so we have to reach the higher goals. हमें higher order thinking skills के लिए जाना है. We have to train our students to do critical analysis, critical thinking, and we have to take them to analyze level and to take them to create level, even evaluate level. So then ये 4, 5, 6 की level Bloom's taxonomy की कैसे होगी reach? So for that we will need our entire transaction to be active. So कुछ ना हमको उसमें से outcome निकलना चाहिए. Only then, and that also a tangible outcome, not just an MCQ based outcome. Only then we will say that we have designed it well. Then comes the development. Yeah, Sanjay, just let me complete this development wala point. Then I'll take you immediately. So what are we developing? We are producing something. What are we producing? We are producing our whole session that we are, going to take all the resources. शायद से जर्नल एंट्री करनी है, कोई एक्टिविटी लिख के देनी है उनको, तो उनको, या मे बी वी हैव अ रोल प्ले, या कोई भी अगर एक्टिविटी है तो वो कैसे आएगी, तो उसका पूरा प्रोडक्शन हमको चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाट इज डेवलप. देयर इज अ because this is an ICT based thing and we are doing TPCI. See, जो भी आप टूल यूज कर रहे हैं, राइट, अगर आप एक सिंपल सा क्विजीज या सिंपल सा काहूट भी बना रहे हैं या सिंपल सा कोई वर्ड क्लाउड वाला मेंटीमीटर भी यूज कर रहे हैं, तो हम प्रोड्यूस ही कर रहे हैं वो चीज को. सो प्लीज डोंट थिंक दैट ओनली वीडियो का प्रोडक्शन होता है. हर चीज का प्रोडक्शन ही होता है क्योंकि हम उसको डेवलप करते हैं, रिसोर्स को. यस संजय दत्त जी, गो अहेड. You had raised your hand. Can you please raise your hand again?
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम।
यस यस, बोलिए।
मैम मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि सारा सिस्टम एंटायर एजुकेशन जो सिस्टम है वो इन तीन चीजों पे थ्री डायमेंशंस पे बेस करता है, व्हाट टू टीच, हाउ टू टीच एंड व्हाई टू टीच। तो व्हाई टू टीच तो सबको पता है कि भाई क्यों पढ़ाया जाए, पढ़ाना सबको पता है कि भाई एक सभ्य नागरिक हमको तैयार करने हैं जो समाज में अपना सर्वाइवल कर सके और समाज को एक दशा और दिशा दे सके। क्या पढ़ाना है ये भी पहले से हमने मॉडिफाई कर लिया है, जिसे हम एनसीएफ कह सकते हैं। तो सारी जो जद्दोजहद है अब हाउ टू टीच पे है। तो जो डिजाइन किया जा रहा है, जो एनालिसिस किया जा रहा है, जो डेवलप किया जा रहा है, वो सारे का सारा इस पे जोर दे रहा है कि पढ़ाया कैसे जाए।
मैं आपको उधर ही रोकना चाहूंगी,
जी
क्योंकि ये जो आप तीन चीजें बोल रहे हैं ना, व्हाट टू टीच, हाउ टू टीच, व्हाई टू टीच,
जी मैम।
वो थोड़ा चेंज करना पड़ेगा अपने को।
जी
व्हाट टू लर्न,
या
हाउ टू लर्न एंड व्हाई टू लर्न। क्योंकि
जी
आप तो
थैंक यू
पढ़ा के
थैंक यू।
चले जाएंगे। व्हाई टू
जी
टीच, बिकॉज दैट्स योर ड्यूटी टू टीच। ओके, बट व्हाई शुड आई लर्न? क्या आपको आपके स्टूडेंट्स ने कभी पूछा? बिकॉज मैं तो जब स्टूडेंट थी तो मैं मेरे टीचर्स को पूछ पूछ के परेशान भी करती थी, और मैं मेरे स्टूडेंट्स को भी बोलती हूँ कि व्हेन आई स्टार्ट अ टॉपिक, आई कैनॉट स्टार्ट जस्ट लाइक दैट। यू हैव टू आस्क मी कि ये पढ़ने के बाद में मेरी लाइफ में क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है। सो अनलेस एंड
दैट्स द बेस ऑन एलोज।
No, that LOs is what? Learning outcome. Okay, now this is something that we really need to discuss. LO कौन डिजाइन करता है? बताइए, LO कौन बनाता है? आप बनाते हैं, मतलब
यस
आप, मैं, हम बनाते हैं, टीचर्स बनाते हैं।
यस
ठीक है,
मैम।
तो ये लर्निंग आउटकम हमारी तरफ से है, जो हमने सोचा है।
यस
ओके,
मैम।
अब मैं अगर आपको, क्योंकि मैं मैथ साइंस की टीचर हूँ, तो मेरे पास एक स्टूडेंट था जो मुझसे ये पूछा था, जिसने कि उसको तो करनी थी मेडिसिन। ठीक है, now he wanted to go into medicine. His parents were doctors, so it was, and he was a bright student. Now today he is a practicing surgeon, but he is a very bright student. So he had asked me that why do I need to learn Newton's laws and how the velocity and acceleration of a rocket goes when I know that I'm going to get into medicine. तो ये जो वाई शुड आई लर्न है ना, इसका जवाब जब हम देंगे, जब हम दे पाएंगे, दैट इज व्हाट द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इंस्ट्रक्शनल डिजाइन एंड टीचिंग इज। बिकॉज टीचिंग इज समथिंग टीचर बेस्ड। मैं आऊं, मैं पढ़ाऊं, ये मेरा सिलेबस है जो मुझे कंप्लीट करना है, मैं आपको अच्छा नागरिक बनाऊं। वेल, एक्चुअली कंस्ट्रक्टिविज्म में हमने पहले ही बोला है कि वो अपने एक्सपीरियंस के ऊपर ही होते हैं। डे वन द चाइल्ड इज बॉर्न विद सम एक्सपीरियंस। वो कोई, ये जो हम बोलते हैं ना, वो मिट्टी का घड़ा है और वो कच्ची मिट्टी है और हम उनको ये कर
कोरा
देते
कागज
हैं।
कोरा कागज।
लेकिन कोई कोरा कागज नहीं होता।
जी
हम सिर्फ ये कर सकते हैं कि वो जो
स्वामी
एक,
विवेकानंद जी भी यही कहते हैं कि बच्चे की अंतर्निहित शक्तियों का विकास ही शिक्षा है।
जी, and then we have to see the learning objectives and the learning outcomes as what will they learn, and that is where the difference comes. So Satyapal ji, can we have you here? Sanjay ji, thank you for your inputs. Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes,
Good
quickly.
morning to all.
Good morning.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. Go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
ओके मैम, ओके, थैंक यू। देखिए संजय दत्त जी ने बहुत ही संवेदनशील मुद्दा उठाया है, ये कि हमें अधिगम क्यों करना चाहिए, कैसे करना चाहिए और क्या है ये
जी, और उसी का जवाब हम दे
हमारा
चुके हैं।
की
सो
सारी व्यवस्था से अस्तित्ववाद को जानने की है। और ये हमारा भ्रम को एक चीज है कि हमें ये हमारा भ्रम हो गया कि हम डिसाइड कर रहे हैं, ये नेचर ने सब कुछ
I think it's cutting. So,
डिसाइड
Satyapal ji, can you put it
कर
in the chat because we
रखा है।
can't hear you?
जो वैल्यूज हैं, जो मूल्य देता है।
We can't hear you actually, so it will be better if you put in the chat as I go ahead. The voice is cutting a lot. So once you have your analyze, your design and your develop, then we have the next step, which is now we are going to the class to implement the things. Now, what do we implement and how do we implement? So we are putting whatever we had designed and whatever we have developed into the class and see कि ये ठीक से चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है, क्या हमारे एनालिसिस के ऊपर बेस्ड हमने जो चीजें डिजाइन और डेवलप की हैं अब उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करके जब हम देखते हैं तो देन वी आर सपोज टू सी दैट वेदर द एनालिसिस दैट वी हैव डन is accurate, and have we planned the things, have we designed the things in the correct way in which will help us to achieve the learning outcomes that have been designed. And then the last comes, that is evaluation. So no class or no session should go in such a way where what worked, what didn't work, इसका हम कभी लेखा जोखा ना करें, ऐसा कोई सेशन होना नहीं चाहिए. So every time something will work, something will not work. Okay, every time there will be a chance that we are going off the track, but is the learning outcome being reached? If we are sensible enough, we will say that, okay, wait, we need to rephrase this, we need to redesign this, and we have to do our instruction also in such a way that the direction is maintained throughout. There are multiple ways in which we can do it, and I'm sure all the teachers here know about it. Now, this ADDIE is nothing but the ADDIE model, which runs the base of all instruction design. अगर आपको आपका वीडियो बनाना है तो भी आप ADDIE मॉडल यूज कर सकते हैं, और अगर आपको कोई ऑनलाइन क्लास चलानी है, आपको ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग यूज करना है, फ्लिप्ड यूज करना है, कोई टूल यूज करना है, तो उसके लिए भी हम यही मॉडल यूज करने को रेकमेंड करते हैं, बिकॉज दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेसिक मॉडल्स. ऐसा नहीं है कि ये इकलौता मॉडल है, देयर आर मल्टीपल मॉडल्स and the models are growing and growing, but this is the basic model that is there, which is very close to the way we have learned the teaching learning process. So most of the teachers find it very easy to implement ADDIE model. The only thing that we have to remember is ये कोई linear model की तरह हम इसको ना यूज करें. जब हम एनालाइज कर रहे होते हैं और जब हम डिजाइन डेवलप कर रहे होते हैं, हम इवैल्यूएशन को ना उसी वक्त भी करना स्टार्ट करें, सो दैट वी जस्ट डोंट डू इट इन अ लीनियर वे, पूरा हो जाए, इंप्लीमेंट हो जाए, फिर पता चले कि अच्छा ये तो डिजाइन में प्रॉब्लम थी. नहीं, अगर हम डिजाइन भी कर रहे होते हैं तो भी इट्स वाइज टू जस्ट सी कि ये एनालिसिस ठीक हो रहा है कि नहीं, जो हम डिजाइन कर रहे हैं वो हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के साथ, हमारे आउटकम्स के साथ मैच हो रहा है या नहीं. So ADDIE model is the basic instructional design model that is recommended for all people. Okay. Now, if we have to get into the process of an instructional design and उसको यूज करके अगर हम यहाँ पर कोई भी चीज को डेवलप कर रहे हैं, लेट अस अज्यूम कि हम कोई एक रिसोर्स डेवलप कर रहे हैं, हम कोई मॉड्यूल डेवलप कर रहे हैं जिसमें कोई वीडियोस हैं, कुछ ऑनलाइन टूल्स हैं. सो व्हाट आर द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ डूइंग दिस? What is the outcome that is expected? Okay, so now if you are supposed to submit something, जैसे हम भी करते हैं यहाँ पर, हम पूरा instructional design use करते हैं. So the moment I will ask or anyone decides to take a session and say कि अच्छा अभी क्या हमको इनसे submit करवाना है, okay, कुछ submission आएगा, कुछ assignment आएगा, कुछ assessment आएगा, तो किसके through आएगा और ये assignment क्या होगा? So the outcome has to be well defined. So first you decide the objective, you and finalize the outcomes based on the constraints. So यानी क्या इनके पास इतने GB ड्राइव की स्पेस है, क्या इनके पास ये टूल्स मतलब एक्सेस करने के लिए स्कोप है. Then you conceptualize the entire session and the entire assignment or any resource if you are planning. So पूरा का पूरा conceptualization होता है. ये इसके बाद में ये दिखेगा, ये होगा, ये होगा, ये होगा. So you know, you conceptualize the flow. Then the most important thing that like I asked that do you document your analysis? तो आप जो भी कर रहे हैं आप उसको डॉक्यूमेंट कीजिए कि आपका ये क्या डिजाइन है. आप अगर ये सोच रहे हैं कि ओके आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद द क्वेश्चन, आई एम गोइंग टू लाइक स्टार्ट विद दिस एंड देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स माय क्वेश्चंस आर गोइंग टू कम, देन आई एम गोइंग टू गिव वन H5P का थिंग, देन आई एम गोइंग टू गिव वन Padlet. तो वो जो फ्लो है आप उसको डॉक्यूमेंट कीजिए, because that will help not only you but your junior teachers also to get an idea कि okay I can do this way also. And then go ahead, develop, cultivate, foster the entire thing in the class, outside the class, both. And we can actually have this cycle of development of using instructional design. Now, I'm going to give you a template, एक lesson plan जिसको हम कहते हैं, वो हम देखेंगे. और उसके ऊपर हम साइड बाय साइड काम भी करेंगे। तो पहले तो हम लेसन प्लान को समझ लेते हैं, फिर मैंने एक स्प्रेडशीट खोली हुई है जिसमें आप लोग हमको कुछ ना कुछ, अच्छा देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन, okay, so we'll be having a lesson plan. I'll show you a lesson plan, and after that we will also take up one Excel sheet. The spreadsheet will be opened. In that we will do it live, that you will give me one topic, one subject ka one topic, we will decide one outcome, and then we will see how the lesson planning goes. You all are experts in lesson planning, and therefore your assignment is also to create a lesson plan based on instructional design. Now here, because this is technology based, technology, pedagogy, everything is going to be here. It is a TPCI. So we are integrating, and therefore the lesson plan that I'm showing you currently can be used for blended learning, can be used for flipped learning. Okay, so let us go and see what the lesson plan structure is. This is kind of a template that we are going to use. So I'll just explain so that it doesn't be difficult for the Hindi speaking states and the non-Hindi speaking states and everything like that. So if we are going to plan a session when we are doing this TPCI or when we are integrating technology in our daily pedagogy, how do we do about it? So the first thing is we will always design the learning outcome, where every time we have to ask the question to ourselves is, what will be my students able to do at the end of this session? So our outcomes are always written like, at the end of the session, the students will be able to do. Now, so the students will be able to do. So what will they be able to do? When we say that, okay, they will be able to explain, or we want them that they will be able to design, they will be able to illustrate, they will be able to draw. So what will the outcome be? Okay, now if this is going to be the outcome, that they will be able to illustrate, they will be able to draw something, they'll be able to draw a diagram, then I will have to think about my assessment, because it's the assessment that is mapped to the outcome. आउटकम और असेसमेंट यही रिलेटेड होता है, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट। तो अगर मैं ये आउटकम चाहती हूँ तो असेसमेंट क्या होगी? सो इफ आई वांट दिस आउटकम टू बी अचीव्ड, देन व्हाट विल बी माय असेसमेंट? विल इट बी फॉर्मेटिव or will it be summative? That is my decision, and no one can ever question me, because we say that the जैसे जंगल में शेर होता है वैसे क्लासरूम में टीचर होती है, तो they are the rulers of the classroom, right? So no one can question you. So suppose if my outcome is where they are able to draw, and I want the students to be better in diagrams, because maybe I'm a science teacher, so I'm thinking like that. So I would want them to improve their drawing. So then it would be formative. If I want them to, talk about their experiences in, or let us say, if I want to have one particular type where I want to also include the students who have a flair for writing, and then I ask them that, what would you do if you were, let us say, Marie Curie? So it's an essay writing. It's like an autobiography of a scientist, but I don't write it as an autobiography. I'm asking, what would you do? And I just want a short paragraph, something like that. So maybe I want their expression, I keep it as formative. But if I want them to describe, or I want them to draw a concept map of an entire topic, and I want it at summative, and where it is going to be graded. So that is my call to take. It depends on me. So first I'll do the outcome, and immediately after that, I will be doing the type of assessment. Once this is done, only then I can go to my teaching learning activities. Now, like previously we spoke, I think it was Sakshiji's example about the AIDS chapter or the AIDS topic, and she had shown a video. So yeah, that video could be given through an LMS or through your whatever channels you're using before the class. So that becomes an out of class activity. Now that out of class activity can be online, can be offline. We can also, like, we can ask students to look around and see what is there. Like, I'm just taking the example that we had taken in the constructive tools wala part, collaborative tools, that can I ask my students to take photographs outside, or maybe even sketch the flowers of a particular family or a particular genus that they see outside. that is my offline activity. There's no online thing. And if that sketches, they bring it to the class, that's completely offline. But it is an out of class activity. Okay. So my activity will have to be, I will have to decide what goes out of the class, what goes in the class. And now these activities have to be designed in such a way that my assessment, or rather the outcomes, are going to be achieved. In other words, suppose if I'm saying that I need my students to draw something and I want that they should use, let us say, any drawing tool. तो मुझे वो मेरे teaching learning activity में वो लेना पड़ेगा ना. मतलब I will have to show them how this tool is done. So suppose if I'm going to talk about word cloud or something, I'll have to take a session, or I'll have to introduce them using 5 minutes, 10 minutes to show how this tool works. If you're going to work on H5P, you can't leave them hanging. Okay, कि हाँ suddenly ये H5P पे कहाँ से question आ गया? No, then you will also have to include that particular part in your teaching learning activities, that how and what will you do in the teaching activity that will help to achieve the outcome. So this is how it is planned, and this is how the planning session goes. There are certain things in the chat. Okay. So now that this is done, let us go. You can take a screenshot of this, because this is how you will have to create a assignment submission also. I will take you now to the spreadsheet that is created. So I'll stop the screen share and again start the screen share for the spreadsheet that is there. But is this part clear, what we are doing? So now comes the teacher's favorite tool, that is lesson planning. So here in today I am using a spreadsheet because I like spreadsheets, because they just make the tabulation part very simple and very easy. So what I've done is I've just opened this and I've just copy pasted whatever was there. Now I would request certain people to, I mean, of course, we'll have to raise the hand to, let's decide one topic, one subject, and let's see how this goes. And then I'll give you some time, let's say 10 minutes or something, to actually fill this up. Okay, I'll give you the, I mean, you can actually create this. You can take the screenshot of this. This will remain. But right now, let's start working on, let us say, a particular topic, a particular subject. I hope that we can have a subject which is of more than 9th standard, or like 8, 9, 10th, 11, 12th. में से कोई भी एक subject. Okay. Even before we start this, kindly share in the chat box. What do you want me to share? Yeah, actually the template is not needed. This is a template that I have created only on a spreadsheet. I just opened a Google sheet and I just wrote this. And as far as the material is concerned, the template that was there on the slide, that is already going to be there. So you can just simultaneously open a particular Google sheet or an MS Excel and you can create this. There are 2 more questions, something in the chat box. Yeah, we'll do one by one, science and language subject, please. Okay. So can we first start with language? So, yes, we'll go to science and we'll go to language. So science and social sciences and maths almost will work in the similar way, and language component will work in another way. So since language subject, please. So can we have a language? So what do you want to teach? Grammar or vocabulary? Math is also, yes, we'll do. Can you simultaneously prepare? I'll give you like 2-3 minutes. We'll just wait for 2-3 minutes. You can just open up simultaneously a spreadsheet, please. Either Excel sheet or Google sheet. And type this out. So by the time we do this, can someone even suggest a topic for language? Yeah, you can type in the chat. So it's going to be for language. Let's do it for language. as an example. Then we'll take up grammar like prepositions. Okay. So, okay. Reading skill, grammar like preposition. So what is the learning outcome? So I can't pronounce your name probably correct in the correct way. So please, my apologies for that. Jai Ramaya. So preposition. So what do you want your student to be able to do? Do you want them to be able to identify the preposition? Or do you want them to define what a preposition is? So now see, both the things are very different because the instructional design will go very differently for this. I'll show it in the spreadsheet itself. So I'll give you both the ideas. Okay. So suppose my first one is they should be able to define what are prepositions. And my second one would be they should be able to identify. Right? Now, define prepositions, that means I will have to teach them what is preposition, but they should be able to write or say it aloud. So possibly it could be summative. That's my chance. That's completely my call. So I'm right now considering it as summative. So how will they say? Will they say orally or will they say they will write? So because I'm providing a grade, I will say that they will write the definition. Okay, so if they are going to write the definition, that means I need to give them the definition. So where will I give them the definition? Will it be in the class or will it be out of the class? So currently I'm putting it in the class. So in the class, the teacher is going to explain and define what are prepositions. Okay. Now, if I want them to only give me like, rote learn karke, ratta maar ke, ye preposition ka definition, blah, 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 blah. And these are the examples, blah, blah, blah. So then if this is going to be my second one, then I'll just give that list prepositions. Now, how many prepositions do I want a student to list out? So they should be able to list out, let us say 5 each. So 5 prepositions each. And because they're going to list, so it would be a typing activity or something like that. So I will have to do in the class, I will have to give them a list of things. So here also I will have to list and explain in the class. Now for identification, but now even before we go to the next one, identification, I give them a pool of words and they should be able to pick out the correct ones. Right? So here they are actually applying what they have understood. Whereas in the first two, if you see, it is just memorizing. So we all have grown up like that. We all have grown up learning the definition of preposition. We all have learned by heart what a preposition is. We all know the examples of it, but still there are so many of us who get confused कि इस पे at आएगा या in आएगा. That is because we learned it in a theoretical way. But what if we actually do this in a, let us say, in a particular, in a way where they learn to apply. So just because we are talking about this, I'll also take you to a particular part, a particular a tool if there is time, because this is a very different thing. So identify में I want to have it as a formative. मुझे इसमें grade नहीं देना है. अगर मैं चाहूँ तो I can keep it as summative. No problem. So फिलहाल, okay, I'll just shift this. I will keep this as formative. And then I'll make this as summative, that identify the prepositions. So it will be summative where they pick or choose the correct prepositions. So now comes this, that I will have to give them a list and I'll have to make them practice. So now practice I can do in both the places. I can give them practice in the class and I can also give them practice at home. And now how do I give them practice at home? Now this is where I have to think about the tool. Whether am I going to use a tool here? So thanks for that preposition one, because we can do it very nicely here. So I'm going to say that practice using OLabs. Okay, now you might think OLabs. I think there was a session on OLabs, right? And it was for science. So you might think that how OLabs is like we are going to use, but I'll show the OLabs part. But if this is going to be for the students to learn better, it has to go off the class. I mean, it has go as out of class activity. Why? Because it only then it will be an differentiated, what you can call as personalized learning, where each one progresses according to what the learning is. I just asked my colleague here whether we have done OLabs, and she just told me that, yeah, we have. But let's go to OLabs to see how we can learn prepositions, because, yeah, labs. Huh? Yeah, so OLabs was done for science, is what she has told me. And of course, it is a beautiful thing for science, but it's also a very beautiful thing for languages. So we are going to learn English. And now learning prepositions of location. So I'm just going to click here. And we have a simulation also. Okay. So I'm going to click on this. Now this is an out of class activity because that is what I have designed. And I want my students to achieve the best possible way in which they can learn. I know this looks very tiny. Let me just see if I can increase the size. So here is a ball which is kept here, and we have to put the ball on the sofa. Okay. So we will start the activity. In fact, what I like to do is, instead of me showing, why should I show you? You can go. I'll put it in the chat. Click on this link. Because I think it's taking time to load. This is a very favorite activity. Give me a message. Yes, Baba, got it. Okay. So you can see, I'm also going to play here, but you can also play and learn. So this is start. So now there comes a ball there. This is a ball which can be dragged, okay, to any positions. ठीक है भाई, हमको सब बता रहे हैं वो where and how. So we just have to use the mouse and put the drag. See the question and drag it accordingly. Okay, that's the instruction that is there. So now comes the question. Place the ball between the family portrait and the clock. So I'm going to do it wrong. Okay. So it very nicely smiles and tells me it is not a correct position. It does not even give me that rota hua chehra or something wrong or something like that where I will feel scared. Okay, so what is it asking? It is telling me to place the ball between the family portrait and the clock. Okay, take it. So yes, my answer is correct. Now it will go and there will be the next question that will come and so on. This exercise goes on. Now, as a teacher, what I can do is, let me come back to this part. Let's go to the next question. Okay, now it has already said between the wall painting and the clock. It's okay. It will be here. So again, it answers. So now see, I am not only teaching prepositions in isolation. I'm also teaching a lot of other words as well. I'm also teaching the correct sense of sentence construction. And I'm also making the students more active. Now see, this is on the chair. So if I think that this is a chair, it will just tell me that this is not the chair. So in other words, I'm also learning that, okay, this is not the chair. So sometimes it will tell me under the table, on the chair. So the first one was between, then it is on the chair. Then where does it go? So we do have such things that are there, which can go seedha out of class activity. And then how do we do this in the class? What we will be doing here is, okay, I'm going back to the lesson planning part, where now the students have done this activity. That is, they are practiced. They have practiced using OLabs. Now, what do I tell them in the class? Because there has to be a follow-up thing in the class, teaching activity, right? So I just can't give them only practice here. If I'm going to give practice as OLabs, then even before this practice, I will have to tell them that what did they learn. So I will have to ask them to reflect on the practice using OLabs. So what did they learn in this? So between ka matlab kya hota hai? And if you see this, those to whom I have already given the link and those who are trying out, and we can also go back and actually check. So once I go here, right, it gives me options. That this is preposition of location. Then picture dictation is there. Again, preposition of location. Then there is another activity. Then there is also learning preposition of direction. So can we give the students a good way to practice on this and then ask them to reflect about their learning? कि क्या हुआ? मजा आया नहीं आया? क्या समझ में आया नहीं आया? And then can we design the next activity that we do in the class, whatever they have not understood, and what funny things they found there. What is it that struck out completely? मतलब क्या चीज थी जो उनको बहुत clearly पता चली? So even this is some change in the UI UX also, where it doesn't show a droopy face or a crying face. It only smiles and says that your answer is wrong. Go in for the next turn. So can we have this type of discussion and then give them practice here using apna traditional method of that list on paper, or maybe some other activity where we give chits and we just distribute them and then ask them to frame proper sentences using those prepositions. So can we have that type of an activity? So now here what I have done is I have utilized, I have 100% I have done practice out of class activity. I have also used a web tool. But for this, I need a planning. And I need to know that these tools exist. And that is the whole purpose of this TPCI that we are doing. And without this planning, then you cannot go ahead. Also, if you see the learning outcomes, if it is define, list, it's just textbook based. It's memory based, basically. But the moment you say identify, you say analyze, you say apply, it just takes the learning level to the next. That is the next level. Yes, Ramesh ji.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, as you are sharing these things to us, I have one question in my mind that as we are taking children of rural background, mostly those who are not that much capable that they can afford sometime smartphone or like that. So as these all things are based on technical part, so how the children will be doing? So is NCRT or CPCIT, matlab, ICT, all you are having some data that we were conducting such kind of educational things to the teachers, and teachers
Yeah,
are
there is a lot of
taking.
data and there
So
is a lot
how?
of research done. Yeah, I got your question. There are lots of data available. There is lots of reports that are done, but that's actually, we should take it up later after this entire workshop, because these are documents that are there available. You can actually
So
see.
I may forget na this question. So actually my concern is that how the children will be doing these things if we assign them such work, because
Okay.
most important thing is when suppose we are conducting these things in the classroom. So
Hmm.
first of all, because without making any practice, as the children are not having any gadgets in the classroom,
Hmm.
so if without making practice, how they will be able to do these things?
Okay,
Suppose if
there are
we give them
multiple
the
ways in which you can do this, and
like,
that is
please,
why, yes, yes, I get your
please share
question.
some of the things. Yeah.
There are multiple ways in which you can do this. That is, many of the things are in the hands of the school and the school leadership. So, and also the school teachers, of course. So, this ICT, there is a policy on ICT that was done way back, way before, like 2012. So, we cannot say actually that this is something new that is coming in. Second thing, okay, if our students come from the rural background, it's very much understandable. We are not saying that digital divide does not exist. It does exist. But if there is a problem, there are multiple solutions to it. And if we cannot find a solution, then obviously we are the problem. So what can be the solutions? We can have the lab sessions. We can ask the school to have more time to be given to the students. We can actually start working on that. They have certain off periods. Can they go in there at that time? Can we ask for community help? Do we have any community centers? क्या हम किसी नगर सेवक से या कोई जो लोकल लीडर्स होते हैं, क्या हम उनसे बात कर सकते हैं? क्या क्राउड फंडिंग हो सकता है? सो ऑल दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट कैन बी डन, एंड देयर आर एग्जाम्पल्स अबाउट इट देयर. There are so many examples about it that I can actually take. We can actually discuss one session. We can keep a session only to discuss how people have done all these examples. But if I can see your hand raised, but if only if it is not about how do we do this, and like we don't have things, then how do we do it? Then I think it's not the part of this particular session. This session is to share with you how to integrate, and the needs and the constraints are understandable, but at the same time, are there ways in which we can overcome those constraints? Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, the methods you or the ideas you shared, uh, any idea, ma'am, any one idea, please, any example which is
Oh, okay.
before us.
Okay. Yeah,
Because
one example.
it sounds good, ma'am. It sounds good. All the things sounds good because time restrictions are there. Are means all are having families. So all the for one day or for some days it is okay. But how we can take them for the session, ma'am? This is the most important challenge. I am not
No, no,
asking
no.
that,
I
or I
didn't
am not saying
understand
that
what
it is
session.
impossible. It is impossible. It is not impossible, but it is practically very difficult. And for one teacher, for some teachers, it is okay. But for most of the teacher, which is
Okay,
our
okay,
idea or
okay.
which is our
No, because you asked
means
about one
intention.
example by one teacher.
Please.
Yeah, one example by one teacher. That's the only one example that I'll share with you very quickly, and then we will move to the designing part and the lesson planning part. This is also an ICT awardee, way back, I think in 2015 or something like that. I don't remember the exact year. There is a very small tribal, क्या बोलेंगे, बस्ती near Mumbai. It's unbelievable, but because I come from Mumbai, I have visited that place also. It's called as Pashte. There was one teacher, okay, who dreamt and who thought that why shouldn't my students have all that is present in the city? And it was a Zilla Parishad school. So what he did was he started asking for crowdfunding, and that was the first school which was actually a Zilla Parishad school, which was completely tab based within a few years. Even before many other things happened, that's the power of one common man who can go ahead and do crowdfunding. And he has got so much of funding he has received that he has put up on his Facebook page that since quite a few years ago, that I have received enough funding. My school is now completely done. please transfer the funding to the other schools which can benefit from this. So you can, I mean, there is a whole world out there. Crowdfunding is there. It is a reality. So those who want to do it will find ways to do it. So, I mean, we should always think about all such positive examples and not just think that someone someday is going to come. We had these examples during the pandemic as well, where community halls were thrown open for the students and the classes used to be conducted. We also have examples where teachers conduct classes at night on railway platforms. So all such things are happening in the world. So it's not like we are the only ones who are facing difficulty. इससे भी बहुत ज़्यादा difficulties हैं. And the railway station platform schools are existing quite since a long time because जब stations पे trains नहीं होती हैं फिर भी वो TV होते हैं तो वो TV के through फिर कर सकते हैं. So there are so many examples that you can do, but can we plan it? Okay, so let's come back to the planning. So now this is what we have done for the science, for the English prepositions. And the same way we can do for science, we can do for maths. And you don't have to use only one particular thing, but OLabs is mapped. So it helps the teachers. And if we go to the home and if we see, this is the digital content for all these subjects. It also has got AR and VR. It just becomes easy to, implement it in the class and implement it into the lesson planning. So once we know that this exists, then we can plan in-class activity, out-class activity, and all the other things. So if this is clear, okay, I'll take one example of science here. Again, if I were to give for science, then simulator in Ohm's law and physics OLab. Okay, this is the first request that I'm coming, and I don't think later we will have time. So I'll go to the physics one and let us see if Ohm's law is there. So you can actually, I mean, okay, let's do one thing. Why do I have to show you? Why don't you go ahead and actually do the experiment? So let me just see if there is Ohm's law in grade 10. So you have so many things. Let's see. I'm not a physics teacher now, so I may make mistakes. So please. Okay, so you have the theory, you have the video. You also have the simulator. So now here you have, and you also have the instructions here. So you can actually do this. So Ohm's law is there in different grades. It is there in 10th also, it is there in 12th also. And then now this actually helps to, draw this. Probably this has to be added. We'll go to the help. Select the length of the resistance of the wire, drag and connect terminal of each apparatus as shown in the circuit diagram. So we'll have to show the circuit diagram and then things will happen. Resistance wire, drag the switch key. So everything is here. I mean, I have a time limit also. But this demonstration, I hope, is enough so that something in the chat. How to create or use Google Sheet for making lesson plan. Okay, that's a better thing to ask. Okay, so I will just go to, I'm not logging into the Gmail, but I will just take you straight to my drive. You can go to the drive, you can first log into the Gmail, click on those 9 dots that are there. You will have a drive link here. And I will just create new and then take it from Google Sheet and then blank spreadsheet. That's it. So once this is created, I will just write here my lesson plan for, let us say, prepositions. enter, and then I have to type here. So I'll just pick up from here what we had written. Learning outcome. Okay, so I'll just put the learning outcome here. Okay, अगर आप enter करेंगे तो you will go into the next cell. Now I want it here itself. I'll just adjust. So मैंने learning outcome किया है, and then I'm clicking alter and enter. For Google Sheets it is alter and enter. Otherwise I think it is control and enter. But I normally use Google Sheets. So this, and then what do you want your students to achieve? So that is my learning outcome. ये हो गया मेरा first. And then I have here assessment, formative and summative. So what I'll do is I'll just put assessment first here. Then I'll put formative here. Then I'll put summative here. And then I'll take this cell and this cell, shift and forward arrow. ये दो cells कर लिए, select हो गए. And once you select those, then this is the key. You see the two arrows like this. Merge cells here. I'll just click it and it comes as one cell. And then what I'll do is I'll keep it here and I will just center it. And I also don't like the bottom thing. So, and then I can put a bold thing or whatever. आप इसमें change कर सकते हैं. And the best part why I like to use Google Sheets is there are multiple things, is because it's all cloud-based. So I am not system dependent anymore. So if I can access things from any system, anywhere, anytime. Second thing is I can create, so suppose if this preposition was for, I'm just naming the sheet if you can see below. Preposition for class 8. Okay. I don't know when it is taught now because I'm not an English teacher, but it's just that then I am going to take another sheet and maybe I will have, I have to name it otherwise, but I just don't want this bar that is coming. Okay. So this will be, let us say, articles for class what? Class 6. Okay. So I can have all my grammar lesson plans here. I can also put it here. That is how I usually do lesson planning for 23-24 or the year 23-24. And I can have all the lesson plans in at a glance. So for whatever subject, suppose if I want to have the same template, I don't need to type it again and again. I will just click on the arrow here and you can see duplicate. So I will just duplicate it. तो ये पूरा का पूरा copy हो गया. Whatever the headings you had done. And then I just have to rename this. अब इसको rename करने के लिए just double click on that. And then I will just, maybe I will write essay writing. And that is for grade 9. So I have all my lesson plans in one spreadsheet. So I think we are, this is how you will be creating one lesson plan of one topic and submitting it as an assignment, if I am correct, right? And they will be sharing a Google form where you will have to put the link of the lesson plan that you have created. So this is how you create a lesson plan in a spreadsheet. Okay, there's certain things in chat. Okay, thank you for asking the question. Then thank you that you asked the question. That is why I showed. Otherwise, why would I show? I thought you would know it. So just see, it's always good to ask questions. I am sure that the questions that you asked today, even though at a point we did feel that they are going out of the track, we could stop the question and bring it on the track. Like, what were the takeaways of this particular session? The takeaways of this particular session began with the first part, that is, when we analyze certain things, are we documenting it and all that? Second thing, if I'm correct, it was by Sanjay Duttji, the question that he had asked, where the most important thing that we should keep in mind is it's not about teaching, it is about learning. So the process of teaching learning is not teacher centric. It doesn't matter what you are teaching, why you have to teach. All it matters is why should I learn as a student? So once we start thinking like that, then fine. Then we have to take that. Then the planning, the instruction design goes in the correct way. Then the second one is, how can we do this? There are lots of problems, agreed. But for every single, see, I come from a math science background, and I always believe that problems will exist. They will continue to exist. But for every problem, there will be multiple solutions. Because I love trigonometry, and that's how we do it, right? Like there will be multiple ways to solve a particular sum. So there will be thousands of solutions for one particular problem. And we just have to pick and choose which suits us the most. That's how we tend to find at least a few solutions to the problems. And the third important thing is, if you don't ask that, okay, you wanted to see how to do it in spreadsheet. So I just demonstrated. So you ask, you get. So same way, please try to develop this particular thing even in your classrooms, where you encourage students to ask questions. Because see, I mean, I know it sounds very this, but human beings are human beings because they are curious. Okay. And the whole quest is to search for the answers. So you need to have questions. So please don't snub your students in asking questions. Yeah, I think we can actually finish now. Yeah. Show OLAB in maths. Okay, they'll see, no, I mean, yeah, I have shared the link with you. I can just give you the main link and please go ahead and explore. And I think it was done. Yes, please. So I'm sharing the OLAB's link here. You can go directly and explore. The more you explore, the more you will know. By the time, if anything related to designing and lesson planning and instructional design, if you have to ask, please ask. Okay. Also, if you want to have more types of lesson plans, I will put my website link, and there you will find all the lesson plan templates that are there. You can download them. They are under CC license. For as far as you don't sell them, it's okay. So it's NC by SA. That also, I think the session was there about Creative Commons licenses. So all the work is there in under CC by SA license. So design, it's not about it looks beautiful. It's about how does it work. Okay, so yeah, this is my website. You may take the website, or I'll post the link also, and you can go. There are a few activities also which are written, which are shared. What am I saying? Written. That you can conduct a few games. They are basically chemistry games, but yeah, you can use them as you want to use them.
Thank you, Ajita ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That was a very, very informative session. I request our participants to please fill the attendance. I have shared the link in the chat. And meanwhile, we can take questions and doubts from any of you. Your assignment for the day will be that you will have to make one instructional design on the parameters which ma'am has discussed in your Google Drives, and then you will have to paste the link of that drive in the Google form which we will share with you. And we will share this by the end of the day.
Please tell them to keep the access open for all. किस चीज का डेमो?
Ajita ma'am, I would request you to please give them a demo once again of how to share the link in open access.
Okay, so let me just share the screen again. I need to go back. This was the website from where you can copy, but yeah, just a minute. I'll just show how to do this. Okay, so now this is the plan that we were doing, right? Now you have to share this because because my colleagues here, Dr. Puneet will be sharing the form with you, and you are supposed to submit the assignment. So assignment submission कैसे करेंगे? ये तो बना दिया. Now how do I share, right? So there are multiple ways in which we can share. I'll show this and I would suggest that you simultaneously do it because now you have kept the spreadsheets open. I think so because there were people who asked about it. So once you see here, share, and you see a arrow, drop down type का arrow दिख रहा है. Now this is copy link and this is private to me. तो अभी तक तो ये this you can see the lock, right? This lock means अभी तो ये private to me only है. तो हम अभी इसको share करेंगे. तो I clicked on share and now you can see here restricted. You can also see who's the owner. You can see restricted here. अब यहाँ पे हम click करेंगे. I'll convert it as anyone with the link. You can use this for as a collaborative tool also, of course, when you are doing with each other, attendance record, mark sheets. तो भी आप Google Sheets as a collaborative tool use कर सकते हैं. Now you have 3 options here. Okay. One is viewer, which is what you will keep when you are submitting the assignment. But if you are doing, suppose if you are submitting it to me and you are my student and I'm your teacher and you want some feedback on it, then you will keep it as commenter. Commenter करने के बाद में मैं कुछ edit नहीं कर पाऊंगी. I will not be able to edit anything in your sheet. I will only be able to comment whether this is right, this is wrong, or something like that. So I'll just show you because we have 2 minutes at least we can have. Okay. So commenter अगर मैं करती हूँ, तो let us see what changes happen here. So यहाँ पे ना, you see this plus sign. At that time, you press a plus sign here and you can see this. So I'll just say formatting क्योंकि ये center adjusted नहीं है. So formatting required. And what you see is once you come out of that, वो comment नहीं दिखेगा. But what you will see is a slight arrow here. That slight arrow is nothing but कि आपने comment डाल दिया. तो the student का अगर if suppose student submits the work like this, okay, and in higher classes you can actually do this and it's very effective. Like अगर कोई maths के sums है, arithmetic के sums है, accounting के sums है, तो you can ask them to do this and put a comment here. So whatever the feedback is, you can see it here. The same way it appears for Google, Word also. That's called as Google Doc. So this is how you can ask for the commenting right. But right now what you are going to do is, अच्छा अगर आपने किसी को edit करने का access दे दिया, जैसे I will share it with my colleagues here so that in case if I am not there, then they should be able to handle it. तो हम यहाँ पे editor का access देंगे. Editor का access देने के बाद में you can change, delete anything. So you should be very careful whom you are giving the editor access. अभी हम क्या करेंगे? हम सिर्फ viewer access रखेंगे because you are submitting the assignment, correct? Now once you are giving the viewer का thing, you will copy the link from here and it will be done. So now if I share the link with you, you will be able to see this. Okay, I'll do that. ठीक है? So I'm giving you the link right now. You can click on this link and you will see that there are so many people who will join. Can someone click on the link here? It's only for view. So you will not be able to change anything. See, the moment आपने click किया ना, I can see people who are attending here. आप कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. आप टाइप करने की कोशिश करो, आपको मिलेगा ही नहीं. You will not be able to type. You will not even be able to comment. All you can do is definitely you can go to this file and you can make a copy. Someone try to make a copy. and just put it in the chat box whether you can make a copy or not. फाइल पे जाइए, मेक अ कॉपी कीजिए, आपके ड्राइव में खुलेगा वो, और मेरे इसमें कुछ चेंज नहीं होगा. Can anyone access this and create a copy of the file by clicking on file, make a copy? जैसे हो जाए तो बता दीजिए चैट में. And then all you have to do is that is your copy. So that is your copy. You will just name it. वो जो ऊपर नाम है वो भी editable हो जाएगा अब, because आपके इसमें दिखेगा copy of. Okay, I'll also show you. चलो. Yeah. So हमने एक ये copy बना लिया जो आप लोगों ने बनाया. So all have done this copy. Now what you will do is, this is what you see, right? Now you can click here and make the change that lesson plan. Okay, what I'll do is I will put lesson plan submission, TPCI submission underscore my name initials whatever they are. आप लोगों ने जो यहाँ पे दिए हैं जैसे with your state and then underscore and then your name, that way click enter. So that is your file name, and then the copy that you have made is private. So what you will have to do, चलो steps बताओ, कौन बताएगा? Anyone who can say that okay अभी ये copy का मैं share कैसे करूँ? I elaborated the assignment already, that you have to make exactly this for your subject, your topic, one topic of your subject. And पूरा एक lesson 30-35 minutes का lesson आप कैसे conduct करोगे? क्या teaching activities कराओगे? Everything. So once you have this copy, on share button, give access and copy link. Yes. Change restricted permissions to anyone with the link. Thank you. Correct. So 2 people at least have answered. So share and then change this access to anyone with the link, and be sure that it is only viewer and not editor, not commenter, only viewer. And then copy link and put it in the form whenever that form is going to come to you. That's done. So one more thing you learned in today's session. किसका? मेरा? नहीं, ऑन है. अच्छा मैं म्यूट करती हूँ.
Thank you so much, Ajita ma'am, for that demonstration. So participants, I hope it is clear what is desired from you in terms of the assignment. You have to make one instructional design of your subject of any topic that you are teaching in that Excel, and you have to share the link just now what ma'am demonstrated in the form which we will be sharing with you by the end of the day. Ma'am, we can copy your matter. So ma'am has already displayed what all parameters are there. So we can have some practice of our own and type those parameters. You can see the live link and then you can type the parameters. Thank you so much, Ajita ma'am, for such a wonderful session and step-by-step explanation of all the points that they have to keep in mind while designing the instructional design. So teachers, now we will take a break. What you have now is a practical session. I will be sharing the link to the post assessment.